has been a wonderful experience. I think that having the right level of information at all times to understand how together we can do a better job is great. You guys are great partners, and you took the time to understand why the campaign was important.
Is engage the community, so it becomes a conversation. It becomes a community project. When you call people together, thousands of people will come. There's no other agency can do that.
Mary's viewers are very loyal, very dedicated people to her, and so they trust her.
Mary Rabago Productions was much more timely, and the quality of the product when it was all said and done was fantastic.
We really do need a production company that understands not only the language, the culture, but has the professionalism.
We would support Mary Rabago's production in a professional manner. We know the quality, we know she is professional, and she has a team of people that are caring and very sensitive to the Latino issues in the United States.
My friend, do you want your children to fly as high as the eagles? With education, everything is possible. That is why Imagine Elementary College is the best option in the area. They provide the tools necessary to make sure your children are successful. Free transportation. Your children deserve the best, and that starts with a solid education. They provide classes that practice STEM, music, and sports. That is why I, Mary Rabago, recommend Imagine Elementary College, a free charter school. Call today, 520-723-5391, 520-723-5391. The basis of success is a good education for our children. That is why Imagine Prep College prepares them to succeed in the fields of greater demand in our economy, like science, technology, and engineering. With advanced academic instruction, choose Imagine Prep College for your children. Give them the best gift you could give them, a quality education for free. Call today, 520-424-2790, 520-424-2790. I, Mary Rabago, recommend it. Thank you so much for continuing with that. This is Journalism with a Purpose con Mary Rabago, now also in English. Remember to join us every day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here at Mary Rabago Productions Facebook. We do the Facebook Live, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can find us in 11:90 a.m. also. And our purpose is to talk about those topics that they're not the popular, the common denominator in our conversation, but they're the ones needed for the growth and empowerment of our community, but particularly our families. Now, the second half of today's show is one that is very close to my heart. I remember through my years of journalist reporting so many tragic loss of beautiful women, mothers, daughters, in many aspects to breast cancer, particularly within our community. The lack of education, resources, information is a silent killer. And today, I am honored to have with us Rhonda Kegel. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
Thank you. Nice to be here with you.
And I want to know, where do I start? You have such an impressive resume. You have done so many things in your career. You know, you're a community advocate. You are a cancer survivor, which is the topic that you are here joining us. You're a writer. You're now the lead communicator for Imagine Schools, but particular on your free time, you're wife to a councilman. And that keeps you on your toes, doesn't it?
We keep busy.
That's a good thing.
It's good to be busy.
I would like to talk to the friend today. I don't want to talk to all those titles and those hats that you interchange and juggle daily in such an impressive way. I would like to talk from the heart today, and I would like to know, what was it exactly, that moment when you got the diagnosis?
So for me, it was, I think it's important to have context. When I received my diagnosis, I heard it from the framework in which I understood cancer. And for me, cancer had been the disease that took my husband. My late husband died from pancreatic cancer. And although I had certainly had lots of people I knew who had been touched by cancer, having it in such a personal way, an intimate way, literally rip apart my family and my world, had created a framework that created maybe some context that was a little bit unique for me.
Now, it was, in other words, not your first encounter, close encounter with cancer. But at this time, it hit home a lot closer to you. Not
It
only
did.
the family, it was your body.
It did.
Part of what makes us feminine.
It
You know,
did.
one of the signs that makes us so pretty, so sexy, an integral part, but also one of the areas of the womanhood that is attacked so much, and that we as women do not take care of that. Was this a really wake-up call for you?
When I got the diagnosis, I was in disbelief, quite frankly, and my thought was, this is not me. This cannot be me. I've already paid that due, a lot of dues when it came to cancer and the toll it had taken on my life. And to your point, now it was my body. And it was not me that was going to be fighting for someone I loved. It was going to be me having to decide, am I willing to fight that hard for myself? And am I willing to put my family through what I went through when my husband was battling cancer? Was I willing to go through the disfigurement? Was I willing to go through the illness? And there is a stigma around breast cancer. Was I
Death sentence.
Yes.
In many ways.
Was I willing to live that? And it wasn't a question I could easily answer given my background and my experience with cancer.
Now, Rhonda, when it came to decision making, what was the hardest decision after that diagnosis when it comes to coming home, talking to your family, to your husband? And for those people that don't know, you are the mother of a beautiful daughter too. So you know when we talk about breast cancer, are we going to have the same genes with the next generations? Is she at risk? I mean, how did the conversation in the family center change?
So I was in mom mode, and that was to reassure my husband, my daughter, and my stepsons, they're step in name only, my sons, that I was going to be okay. I didn't know that. I had no medical basis from which to say that, but I just said, I will be fine.
Why does that not surprise me? For those that we know closely, Rhonda Cagle, why is that not a surprise? Now, that is also one of the biggest mistakes most women make, particular after getting that diagnosis. We still are in our role of caregivers, of taking care, of making sure everybody's okay. But that particular time in life and moment, it's you, the one that needed the care from the family, the understanding, the loving, and that support.
And so the part about that is my daughter, who lives and works in Washington, D.C., she got on a plane. She and my husband were co-conspirators, and they tag-teamed on me, and they said, you're going to have the best doctors. You will be okay. They went into let's fix mom. Mm-hmm. Mom's going to be fine because we need her to be fine. They immediately got me an appointment with Cancer Treatment Centers of America. And there was, to your point, how do you know whether or not you've passed on the genes? Well, I know because they did all of the testing on my genes. They did all of that kind of really in-depth to say, is there a possibility that I'm passing this on to my daughter? Never say never, but in terms of the genes, the good news is no.
That's the good result.
That is the good news for me.
Rhonda, was there ever a wild, part of your wild imagination to think that you would become a victim of breast cancer?
I don't choose to look at myself as a victim.
I was waiting for that.
if you the one thing I learned that I have power over is my attitude and how I approach it. And I refuse to let this disease define any more of my life and take any more of my life and my body than it already has. And so for me, there was a moment in the early course of cancer treatment centers going through all of the tests, and the next appointment was for me to say, yes, I'm ready to move forward with treatment. And for me, what was initially thought by my initial doctor to be very early stage non-invasive cancer ultimately turned out to be stage 3 invasive cancer that had already gone into my lymph nodes. And my daughter was sitting with me, and I just said, honey, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I am willing to go through treatment, put you through treatment, what that means to the family. And she began to cry. And she said, Mama, I've already lost one parent to cancer. Please, Mama, won't you fight? I can't lose you too. And so
how could you say no after those words?
That's exactly what made the decision for me. And I said, by God, then I'm going to fight. But if I'm fighting, then you can damn well bet that I'm winning, because I will win this fight.
So we can say by witnessing your recovery, your fight through this situation with cancer, that attitude, mental position when it comes to fighting any disease, but particular cancer, is a must.
I believe it's a must, but I also am not foolish enough to think you can fight cancer on your own. It takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a village to fight cancer. And my husband, my family, my friends, it took all of them and then some to make it okay for me, so that I had the strength to fight.
What has been the blessing in disguise in this process from the moment that you got the diagnosis to today?
I think there's a lot of life lessons that you learn, but there's also a lot of opportunity to learn more about who you are as an individual as you go through this. And the truth is, what I found is when all else gives way, faith. Faith is the thing that provides that inner core for me that allows me to get up and do it one more time, one more treatment, one more day, one more surgery. But then you also learn that you're a whole lot more resilient than you think.
Or the credit that you give yourself for it, I can imagine.
Probably a little of both.
Well, being a witness of your strength, because I want to share with you guys, I got the opportunity to visit Rhonda in her last surgery, which is just few days ago, and by seeing you and hearing you here, nobody can even imagine what you've been going through the last few weeks. So for that, I mean, my most deepest admiration, because it takes courage, it takes mental strength and ability, and also the faith that you so much hold on to. I remember seeing you in a hospital bed just a few days after your surgery, and all the conversation that she would have was focused on me. How are you doing? What can I do for you? I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You're in the hospital bed. So that it is what Rhonda Kegel is about, always doing for others. So when you say that you had to focus on yourself, I find it very hard to believe, because it had to be people surrounding you, forcing you to do that, because that's the natural instinct that you have, to take care of everybody and their mama, as I would say, correct? Taking care of them.
And I think part of it is also, as you journey through, I hate that word, but as you go through cancer, the various parts of treatment, you have to look inward, at least 4 times, for seasons of it. It takes everything and then some to go through the treatment. The treatment is brutal. And to go through that, you have to turn inward. And that also allows you to replenish what you need and who you are, but then it also allows you to have the strength to reach back out. Because for me, it's about, if I'm fighting for my life, then I'm fighting for my life. And not just my ability to stand upright and breathe, but I'm fighting for the things and the people that matter to my life and make it meaningful. And for me, that's people like you, people like my family, my colleagues who I can reach to and say, how can I help? How can I support? If there's a cause or an issue, there's a few of them that you know I'm passionate about. What do we do about this? I don't care if I'm in a hospital bed. I've got fingers. I can type. I can email.
Energizing Bunny is just too small to describe this woman and the potential and the energy and the passion that she has for everything. And I want to share some of the comments that, you know, people are giving about you, close friends that know the struggle, that have known the battle that you have been, you know, facing this few months. Martin Perez Jr., thank you, Mari, for your leadership. Saludos, Aranda, a great friend and an inspiration. That's just a few words of how you are described within our community. We have Corina Chavez Madruga says, Rhonda, you are the, okay, help me with this word, epitome of strength. I love you to pieces. So, and then we have Angelica Macias, law should be set in motion to protect people from gun violence. Thank you for that comment. We have Pamela Starr. Does your girlfriend have a talk show? I guess that is not directed for us, that conversation, but this is particular. I would like to know, as a woman, as a mother, as a member of this community, that no one is exempt from cancer, from that tragic diagnosis that you got that particular day. That is a date I'm sure is going to live in your memory forever. And just like the victories that you've been having against cancer, what was the most difficult moment through that treatment, through the process? What was that moment that you just wanted to give up? Because I'm assuming, as strong as you are, there had to be a moment where you did not want to continue with that.
There were a couple of moments. A lot of them because the chemo cocktail that they gave me was so debilitating, not just physically, but mentally. It caused terrible dark blackness to be in my brain. That's the only way I can describe it. I was not myself. I was absolutely catatonically depressed during that portion of it, and it was chemical from all of the chemo cocktail. There was a time during that where I just said no more. I can't. But I think the moment for me that was probably the most personally devastating was after my mastectomy and in looking at my disfigured body and knowing that Lorenzo and I had been married for just a very short time, and I just looked at him and I said, I'm a freak. And I said, if we're going to make this okay. You can leave. We're going to restore this. Nobody will ever think worse of you. You can go. I am not going to expect you to stand by this for the rest of your life. And he just looked at me, and it was probably one of the very few times in life where he could get away with it. And he said, be quiet and sit down. And he said, I love you for you, not for what you look like, not for what your body has or doesn't have, or what it will have later on. He said, I love you for you. And I had to decide, am I going to choose to love me for who I am now in this process, who I will be as I go through the process, and who I will be when all of this is truly in my rearview mirror and it's something for me to draw from. And that was a really hard moment.
I'm a huge advocate that your story has power. I don't get tired of repeating that, because I can just imagine what a lot of the women, a lot of the families that have experienced breast cancer with someone in the family member felt by hearing your words right now. How many couples, they were not as strong enough like you and Lorenzo. The type of love that is represented there, how many women wish they can have that, without even going through the painful process of breast cancer. How blessed are you, Rhonda, with the people that surround you? How blessed are you by experiencing this fight with breast cancer and coming better on the other side?
I'm enormously blessed, more than I certainly deserve. I think the truth is, whether it's breast cancer or any other kind of potentially life-threatening situation, it gives you a different perspective on life and what's important. And thankfully, Lorenzo never wavered in that love for me and that assurance to me. He made it a point over and over to find ways to reaffirm me as I went through this process. And I think we're at a place now where we can laugh about it. We can make light of things that maybe 18 months ago I couldn't have made light of in this process. And as we continue to journey through this, I'm sure there will be more of those moments. But I think the blessing is realizing that when we said in sickness and in health, he meant it. And that is a real blessing.
Now, Rhonda, it's been how many days since your last surgery? Just help me here.
It's been 3 weeks.
3 weeks. You would think with the kind of high level intensity of surgery that you have, by now you should still be at rest, correct? Or am I wrong? Not to put you on the spot or anything like that.
I'm probably pushing the envelope just a little bit, yes.
Now, what is that force? Why is it so important for you to not waste time in sharing your story? And what is the purpose behind that with all the women that are still going through this process, that just got the same diagnosis that you, one of the most fearful moments of any woman's life, in particular for those family members that do not know how to help, how to approach, and how make it easier for their loved one in this situation?
Well, for me, part of the push, the drive is if I fought for my life, then I'm going to live my life. And that means making a difference. I firmly believe that we have to make the pain pay. And if I was going to go through all of this pain, then by God, it's going to accomplish something for someone else. I did not go through all of this just to sit on the lessons I learned. I'm going to share those, and I'm going to hope that they are impactful and life-changing for others. So that I think that's the first answer. The second answer for me is what I do professionally. It really matters to me. I advocate and I speak on behalf of children who live in abject poverty, many of them. And 60% of all of our schools nationwide, we have 57 of them, these are urban schools. And the students are relying on me and on our principals and on our leadership team to be there for them, being their voice at the State House, legislatively, working and fighting for policies that make it easier for them to have access to a really great, high-quality education that gives them a shot in life. And that matters to me.
And that is the passion behind Rhonda Kegos and the strength that she has to fight cancer and whatever comes your way. Now, I want to go a little bit more personal. We're coming towards the end of our show, but I want to know, having such a fast-paced lifestyle, have you always had? Because that's the person you are. You are a mover and shaker, and you will make everything happen, and you're doing and doing for others. What has changed before and after the cancer for Rhonda?
I'm having to rethink that pace. I have to look at energy as a finite resource, and I have to decide where I choose to invest that. Where can I have the most impact by making an investment? And in some ways, I'm having to balance a little bit my professional life and my personal life. And sometimes that means I'm not 24/7 anymore with my professional life.
Quality time rings a bell?
Quality time does ring a bell. And I think part of it is really deciding what is it that I am going to find great joy in doing? If something I'm doing is not bringing me great joy, then I'm not supposed to be doing that, because life is too short and I've worked too hard to beat cancer with the grace of God and the help of doctors and my family and my friends. And so there has to be a balance now.
I love that, and I know it's resonating with a lot of the people watching and listening to us right now. We have Ana Flores says, Rhonda, I had a lampectomy and felt the same. It's so hard, and as women, emotionally, physically, God is good and has a purpose for us to share our story. God bless you with lots of love. She's all the way from Chicago, another bright and fearful woman that actually went through the process, and now she gets, as well as you do, to share this story for other families and other women in the same situation. Rosa Pedrosa, which, if I'm not mistaken, also is a breast cancer survivor, says it's a great information. So thank you for sharing with us. We also have a guy by the name of Lorenzo Sierra. I don't know if it rings the bell. And there were countless friends who gave us strength. I am so proud of Rhonda. And he's definitely been your rock in the whole process. We have Ana Flores adding a little bit more, says, Rhonda, sharing with you the story, I think it's what empowers others. So that's amazing to see the response and how your story so many people relate to your story. What is the one thing that you would like them to learn from your experience? What is the one thing you want to share with them? What is the one lesson that they need to learn without going through the painful process?
From a practical standpoint, taking care of yourself matters. Being religious about mammograms and being an advocate for your own health, that's important. From an emotional, even a spiritual standpoint, I think that the lesson for me is sooner or later in life we are broken. We become broken. And it is grace that is the glue that mends us.
I love those words.
I think more grace and more mending is needed, not just in our individual lives, but also in our community and in our world.
What is next for Rhonda Cagle after beating cancer? Oh boy.
I was going
Hold
to
on
say,
to your seats.
You'll have to ask me back so we can have that conversation.
I hope Lorenzo is ready to put the seatbelt on, because I know it's just going to take off with strength.
I think the thing that's next for me is really just that joy barometer. What is it that's giving me joy in life? How can I invest more into that? And how can I continue to have real purpose in ways that matter and make a difference in our community and in the lives of families and children?
You mentioned family a lot. You mentioned your faith, the strength that you had there. How did this difficult situation strengthen, or, for the lack of that, went to the other extreme, hinder a lot of the close relationships you have, like with your daughter, your stepsons, or your husband, or really close friends? Through this process, were you able to see who really was there for you?
Absolutely, and the truth is, it surprised me. I was not aware of how many people were my friends. I spend, as you know, a good amount of my time on the road from my job, and it was incredible to me to find out how many people do love me and are friends, and that was surprising for me. If anything, it's made our family a whole lot closer, and it's helped me realize I have a lot more friends than I realized.
Well, I know we just kind of tickle the curiosity for a lot of people. Where can they hear or find out more about Rhonda Cagle, the battles, the projects, and all the amazing work that you do in our community?
Folks can visit rhondacagle.com. I do have a website, and I have a few of my blogs up. I'm actually in the process of writing and putting together my book, and I will have that hopefully soon. But in the meantime, rhondacagle.com.
And we'll definitely bring you the unveiling of the book here with Mary Rabago. We have about 30 seconds only, Rhonda. I want to know what have changed within yourself. What is the one thing that you can say that you're thankful to cancer for?
I'm thankful for the ability to see my family and my friends come around me in ways I was not aware of. And I'm also, I am less hesitant to step out. If there's something I want to do, or even something that I think I might want to do, I'm going to step because I've fought really hard, and life is really short, and I'm going to make the most of it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your amazing story. Thank you for giving the strength of all those families in need of the same situation. And this would not definitely be the only time that we sit down here and talk to you. Thank you for being with us con Mary Rabago today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Do not forget to share this link to learn more about our guests. And thank you for supporting our journalism with a purpose. Hasta la próxima.